Right now, President Trump is heading to Georgia to campaign in the special election race to replace his one-time ally turned critic, Marjorie Taylor Greene. But Trump's appearance, while early voting is underway, comes just weeks after the FBI seized boxes of 2020 ballots from a Georgia election hub, reigniting tensions over Trump's attempts to undo his loss 6 years ago. MS Now's Vaughn Hilliard is reporting on the ground in Georgia ahead of the president's visit for us. And Patricia Murphy is a political columnist for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I welcome you both. So, Vaughn, you've got some breaking news coming out of this election board, including some news involving a private investigator and a subpoena. What can you tell us?
Right. The president is boarding Air Force One here to head to Georgia right now. But about 2 hours from where we're standing over in Winder, Georgia, is the state election board that continues to meet after prolonging its meeting yesterday. And not only have they subpoenaed Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, but just in the last minutes, they moved forward with a motion to hire a private investigator to investigate election complaints. It's not clear what those election complaints are here in the state of Georgia. Now, why is this a significant move here by the state election board? Well, number one, there's 5 people on it. 3 of them are individuals who are Trump allies who have cast extensive doubts on the veracity of the 2020 election. I talked with one of them yesterday, Sally Grubbs, and she told me that they are still looking at evidence and that it remains to be seen whether they will move forward with the attempt to even take over the Fulton County Elections Administration. This is very nuanced and very granular, but with potential big ramifications. The concern, particularly among Democrats, but Republicans that have defended the election security here in the state of Georgia as well, people like Brad Raffensperger, the concern is that these Trump-aligned state board elections members will seek to effectively take over Fulton County's operations and change their early voting timeline, potentially their Dropbox location changes, but also even voter registration efforts here. Donald Trump himself has called for the nationalization of elections, including localities here. And I want to take you a listen to remarks he made just in the last 24 hours about the potential sending of federal troops into the greater Atlanta area. Take a listen.
You need help in Atlanta. We could take care of Atlanta. I'll tell you what, you ought to get them to call me. We could take care of Atlanta so fast. They don't want to call because they don't want to admit it, and they'll never fix it themselves.
Now, these 3 Trump-aligned Georgia State Election Board members have even pushed debunked conspiracy theories themselves out in the past, including, for example, that there were ballots that were shredded in 2020. And it's these members that have now hired this private investigator, somebody who we do not know the name of. It kind of could remind you of sort of the cyber ninja type effort that took place in 2021 out in Maricopa County. So there are a lot of questions here as the president of the United States comes here into the state of Georgia. Jon Ossoff is up for re-election, and there are, of course, a lot of questions here about, with 7 months until the midterm elections, how potentially these Georgia State Election Board members could seek to use not only the private investigator, but even put forward such a motion as to appoint their own would-be administrator to oversee Fulton County's elections here in the months ahead. And of course, you just heard there from the president himself threatening the potential movement of National Guard or federal troops here into the greater Atlanta area. So there's a lot at stake just 3 weeks after this FBI search and seizure of 2020 records. All we expect to potentially hear the president address himself in Rome, Georgia. We should note this is the home district of Marjorie Taylor Greene, whose special election to replace her is currently underway. That primary date is March 10th. Alex.
So much at stake here. Patricia, hey, how's this going to go over with the Secretary of State there in Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, when you have an unnamed investigator investigating unknown election issues brought up by whom, about what? What's he going to do with that?
It's not going to go over well. Typically, it's Brad Raffensperger who is tasked with initiating and conducting these investigations here in the state. But there's been an immense amount of friction between the state election board and Brad Raffensperger because Raffensperger's office has investigated and dismissed nearly everything that the state election board has brought to him recently, and certainly dismissed all of the allegations in 2020 or following the 2020 elections after really extensive, lengthy investigations. into each of those allegations. And so he has been seen as, I think, a real brick wall in the view of the Republicans on that state election board. And they're going around him by hiring their own investigator to look into what the exact allegations are. I'm not sure, but this is the first state election board meeting since the FBI raid of Fulton County. And so we've all been watching it very, very closely for this exact reason, to see what steps the election board is going to take. What direction does it look like they're taking elections ahead of the 2020 elections? And specifically, what are they going to do with Fulton County? So that's what we've all been watching. And this is the kind of development Democrats, at least, had been really wary of, as well as Raffensperger's office.
Patricia, I'm curious, how much does the president need to say about the FBI seizing those Fulton County ballots? Does that audience in deep red Rome, Georgia, Marjorie Taylor Greene country, want answers on that?
So I think it's really going to vary by individuals. This is going to be done specifically at a steel processing plant. This is not going to be one of his more typical gigantic rallies where all Trump fans have come. Up there in that northwest portion of Georgia, super, super conservative. He does not need to do any real rallying to get people to support him. But Georgians up in North Georgia are looking for answers on the economy. They're looking for answers on immigration. I think they're looking to hear what he came and promised them a year ago. Where is he on that? So I think an economic message would be very welcome. We certainly, though, are listening for him to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, to talk about the race to replace her, which is in just about a week. We're certainly listening to see if he gets into any of the politics about our own Senate election. There are 3 Republicans. He has not made an endorsement in that race for somebody to challenge Jon Ossoff. So there's a ton of politics swirling around what is supposed to be a policy message.
But the race to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene, does it buy Trump anything to criticize Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because she remains popular there. Do you expect he will?
She's popular. I do expect him to criticize her. I think this is personal for the president. Had Marjorie Taylor Greene run, she would have won. She has a lot of support left in that district. The people who are running to replace her are running on sort of a very similar platform. Some of them are looking to be just as rambunctious, as in your face as she was. Others are saying, I have 2 gears. The president has already made an endorsement in this race. He seemed to forget that when he was on Air Force One. It was Clay Fuller who he's endorsed. And so we expect Clay Fuller to be there as well today, because he is the endorsed candidate. But with more than a dozen Republicans running, this really could be anyone's race. We don't know exactly how it's going to turn out.